Saiga looking like he's part of a biker gang.
It's just a new jacket.
is
I
it
wanted something I could throw over a hoodie.
is it cold over there?
Yeah, I'm in PA, so it gets pretty cold in the winter. I mean, today wasn't awful, but it still hit like 45. I think it hit 40 at one point.
How's the family over there, man? I saw when we posted the first episode, somewhere was like, "This is about to be the nicest podcast ever." So you gotta live up to it. How's the family? Is your kid doing good? The wife?
Doing great. Actually, he just had a earlier. The reason we were recording this a little later today is because my wife and my cousin are getting to be good like mom friends.
Oh, nice.
So she has two little ones. One just a little bit younger than my son, and another one that just turned one. So we were over there all morning. They were just running around, playing with each other, hanging out. It was fun.
That's good, man. That's good. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Now that the latest episode of One Piece came out, I think it was like 1081. Have you seen it, right?
I haven't seen it, but I know what
Okay,
happens.
well, spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen it or read the manga up until this point. I have this theory, okay, and I've said it before. I've made a couple videos about it, but no one agrees with me. I believe Shanks is going to be the final villain. What are your thoughts?
I've always pushed back against it
Why?
because I see the genuine joy on Shanks's face when he talks about Luffy.
Okay.
Like if you look at was it I think yeah, it was Shanks talking to Rayleigh, right? So Rayleigh was expecting to meet Luffy because of Shanks. And what Shanks said to Rayleigh, like his face is lit up. He's smiling like a little kid who just got like the best birthday present ever. And he's like, "Look, I found this kid. He says the same stuff that Captain Rogers said. He's so excited, and he's like obviously loyal to them. That
Understandable.
so like you know what I mean. So for me to think that like he would be lying to them and like not actually have allegiance to them, like especially compared to the way that he talks to the Gorosei. Like you look at the big smile on his face when he's talking to Rayleigh, and you look at the way that he smiles when he gets updates on Luffy. The fact that like it's so well known that he cares about Luffy that Mihawk brought him Luffy's bounty poster when Luffy got his first bounty.
Right.
Like it just he is very clearly on Luffy's side, right? And like if he really cared about the Devil Fruit, he didn't care about Luffy. There's no reason for him to lose his arm. He could have let Luffy be eaten and find that fruit again. Like he had another option. But you compare the way that he talks to Luffy, talks to Rayleigh, talks to Mihawk. Compare that to the way that he talks to the Gorosei or talks to any Marine. Straight faced, serious. We are dealing with business, and then it's time for me to get back to partying as a pirate.
Okay.
That's how I see him. Like the setup that Oda would have to include in this final saga to have that be the big reveal would be insane
I
to make it
completely
make sense.
I completely understand where you're coming from. Now hear me out real quick. Why is it such a coincidence? Every single time Shanks shows up, it's right after Luffy is out. Like let me explain what I mean. So we got Marineford. Okay, let's not talk about the fact that Shanks knew exactly what fruit to steal from what boat. He had to know what kind of fruit this was if it was that important, because as of right now we haven't seen anybody on Shanks crew to have any kind of devil fruit ability or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he went specifically for this one fruit. Then out of nowhere the entire crew just doesn't realize that Luffy's going for it and eats it.
Yeah.
It just seems a little odd to me. Even if they're kind of off guard, it seems a little odd to me that they're not even paying attention to this fruit. And then on top
See,
of that, we go to Marineford. Kaido is coming to Marineford. Somehow Shanks is able to stop him with nobody in the crew having a speck of dust, like nothing at all. And it doesn't seem to me like Kaido is that understanding that Shanks is gonna be like, "Hey man, listen, I need you to just step back," and Kaido will listen. So
mm,
Shanks waits all the way until after Luffy passes out to show up at Marineford and stop the war when Luffy's getting away. Then we
yeah,
jump all the way to Wano. Luffy is in this massive battle with Kaido. He awakens the Devil Fruit. After the battle ends, Shanks is actually waiting right there outside of Wano.
yeah.
And the moment that Luffy awakens the Devil Fruit, now is the time for him to go and grab the One Piece, like he tells to Ben Beckman. It just seems a little like too many coincidence for me that Shanks
See,
is always there at the right moment at the right time.
I see that doesn't mess with me my position. Uh, So I think that Shanks just he has so much more influence, like an unprecedented level of influence in the world. And I think that Shanks spends the vast majority of his time when he's not partying maintaining peace. Um, Basically maintaining peace to allow Luffy's journey to continue. Like, why did he show up at Marineford? Because he knew it was dangerous for Luffy. He needed to stop this. I don't think Shanks really cared about the Whitebeard pirates or cared about the Marines that were there. Maybe Kobe. Maybe he sees something in Kobe. Like, because on a personal level, he might like him. But like Shanks knew this is going to be a terrible situation. This is going to completely disrupt the three powers. If Kaido shows up here and it's Whitebeard and Kaido fighting the Marines, or even Whitebeard versus the Marines and then Kaido shows up and just runs amok, it would completely upset the power balance in the world. Shanks had to be there. And when it comes to him being delayed in that case, it makes complete sense to me. Like I'm assuming he didn't go all the way to Wano to stop Kaido. He met Kaido in the ocean,
Right.
but it still would have taken him, X amount of time to get there because the war didn't last days and days and days, right? Like Shanks is rushing around. He was probably sweating. He wiped his brow just to show up looking all cool. But like he had to rush out, find Kaido, convince Kaido either through speech or Wi-Fi hockey that he didn't want a piece in this fight.
Wi-Fi hockey.
Yeah, where he can connect islands with that stuff. But so he had to do all that. He had to convince Kaido not to come, which is difficult because Kaido lives for war, and he thinks as we learn in his flashback, he thinks that your value is determined on a battlefield. So to turn down a fight, Shanks had to say something crazy to him. I mean, Shanks might have even said something like, "Listen, there's somebody that's going to be at this war you might accidentally kill, but they're going to give you the best fight of your life if you let them live. Leave this alone."
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that the again, like Shanks is trying to maintain peace. He feels a sense of responsibility for that. But like he also is trying to guide Luffy along. Like it makes complete sense to me that he would show up and save Luffy, that he would care about Luffy. He wants to know what Luffy's up to. And I think I don't even think it's because of Luffy. Because we're talking about like modern manga stuff, so spoilers obviously. But like we see
Now, wait,
basically
hold on. I'm gonna have to cut you off. You gotta say the line. If you're gonna talk about spoilers, you gotta say the line.
if you're not caught up, feel free to keep scrolling.
Hey!
So we see in Elbaf when Shanks is there when Kid is approaching.
Right.
There's another little boy just like Luffy who wants to join his crew, and he's like, not right now. You're a kid. I don't think Luffy was special to Shanks until he ate that fruit. I think that Shanks has a myriad of different barmaids that think he's hot. He's got a myriad of different children on different islands that want to be a part of the Red Hair crew, just like Roger did.
Fair
Because
enough.
Roger had, I mean, they tried, what's his name? Odin. How did I forget his name? I kept wanting to say Momo, and that's his son.
Can't be Odin unless it's fried.
Yeah, but
Or is it boiled?
Odin tried to.
Boiled.
It's boiled, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah. So like Odin tried to recruit Frankie, and he said no. But Roger also like turned away Pedro when he was a kid,
true.
right? So like there's a chance that Roger had a habit of doing that too, and perhaps the courting that he did of Rouge was done during his journeys. It was one of the islands that he would visit. You know what I mean? Because that would make more sense that at the end of his life, he decides he's going to go have a child, and he finds a woman willing to carry his child and willing to be so dedicated to him that she's going to hold that child in for 2 years, pushing off childbirth. Like, that's a woman who cares about Roger and cares about this child surviving, right? So I think there's a chance that Rouge was one of the women on one of the islands that Roger, talked to. Maybe he didn't love the other ones. He loved this one. Maybe he didn't have romantic engagements with the other ones. Maybe like Rouge was the special one, but he still kind of, maybe wasn't the best guy. Maybe lighthearted, flirted with the other women. But like Shanks kind of does that, right? Like he lets Makino look at him that way. He lets the woman on the giant island, all the women on the giant island, look at him that way. Like when he's walking out on Elbaf and they're all swooning for him. So like I think he was just, every island is like that for him. He is that guy. But Luffy ate this fruit. To get around to my point, Luffy ate this fruit that he was most likely looking for because he learned from Roger that it was Joy Boy's deal. This One Piece thing is Joy Boy's thing. And the reason that Roger was too early is perhaps because you have to wait for Joy Boy to awaken, right? So Shanks goes on, maybe he finds some ancient knowledge, maybe the stuff on Elbaf where he says that he was reconnecting with some old friends. you know?
Hmm.
So maybe he's been there before. Maybe he's spoken to Saul. Maybe he knows about the old texts, you know? And maybe he knows in these ancient books about the sun god Nika and the Hito Hitonomi model Nika. He finds out the government's been trying to get it. He learns through the grapevine that they've acquired it, and he needs to make sure that that fruit is out in circulation so that that fruit can be eaten, strengthened with, and awakened so that Joy Boy can come and Roger's dream can be fulfilled, right? So there's this onus on him now that Luffy ate it, so now he has to make a bet on Luffy. That's why he gave up his arm. Like he said to Whitebeard, he made a bet on this new generation. That's
Right.
even why when he attacks Green Bull with the Wi-Fi hockey that was aforementioned,
I can't.
he
Every time you
says
say the Wi-Fi hockey, I can't.
but he makes that comment about why are you so afraid of the new the what does he call him?
I think it was the new generation or the.
Yeah, is it the new generation? Is that what he calls them? But he says, "Why are you afraid of it?" Right? And it like so he knows he is on the side of Luffy. He's on the side of the worst generation, this new age of pirates. He's basically trying to fulfill the dream that Roger had, and he found a kid who like he's like, listen, you know you are the one who ate this fruit, so now I'm kind of stuck with you. But then after that, he's like, man, this kid just keeps showing me he's basically Roger reincarnated.
That's
This is
fair.
my captain. You know what
That's
I mean?
fair.
That's
Okay.
how I've always seen Shanks. Now, I could see him being a final fight in the sense that it's a friendly fight.
That was going to be the
It's a
next question that I was going to ask
yeah,
you. Do you think
it's a
it's as opposed
skirmish.
to villain, it's going to be Shanks will be the final fight, but more like
Yeah,
friendish type of thing?
yeah, in a sense, final antagonist, but not villain at
Right.
all.
Okay.
And only antagonist in the sense that even a skirmish, you are the antagonist if you're not the
I
protagonist,
can see
right?
that happening.
Yeah. And I just saw fan art recently that I'm gonna admit made me a little emotional.
Oh.
But it was fan art of what this person believed it's going to look like when Shanks gets the hat back, because that's still a thing that has to happen,
Yeah.
and we forget about it all the time. Like
Luffy got
how
to give it
is
back.
yeah, how is Luffy gonna give that hat back, right? But it was Luffy in Gear 5 wearing a jacket like Roger wore, and Shanks is kneeled in front of him with his sword stabbed into the ground, receiving the straw hat back. And I could see it. I could see that Luffy proves not only by becoming Pirate King, but he proves by defeating Shanks in combat that he is a great pirate. He is
Fair.
someone worthy of Roger. And at that point, Shanks sees him as like on that level. And so he's willing to bow down, which is even more poetic knowing that he is of celestial dragon blood. You know,
100%. Yeah.
so that
Especially
he would bow down to his natural born enemy. Mind you, Shanks has
Pirate,
been fighting his bloodline his entire life. His natural born enemy, not only a pirate, but a carrier of the will of D, and a carrier of the will of Roger,
which we still
and the
need to
will of Joy
figure out.
Boy. You know what I mean? Like, so I would love to have the scene go down like that. And you know it's going to be emotional, but I've been
Oh,
thinking, like, throughout my entire time catching up with One Piece, I was like, how is he going to set up the return of the hat? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
that I
It
think if
has to be something massive. It cannot just be something anticlimactic, like, oh, by the way, here you go. And then, like,
yeah,
tosses the hat and Shanks catches it. Like, I could see something like that happening, like Shanks in the middle of a ship and they're, like, sailing away from each other and Luffy, like, tosses it at him and he just catches it, like, saying goodbye or something. But because I keep thinking that Shanks is going to be the final battle, I can
yeah.
see it more happening now, like what you mentioned, like Luffy defeating him and then Shanks kneeling in front of him, being like, "Oh, by the way, forgot to give you this," type of thing.
I guess it's time you take this back or something like that. But do they still call themselves the Straw Hats? If he
That's a
doesn't have
good
the
point.
straw hat,
That
that
maybe
was the thing that.
that maybe
Uh,
Luffy doesn't return it anymore, and Shanks just lets Luffy keep it because now since he's the embodiment of Roger and like the will of D and
yeah,
Joy Boy and all this. Maybe Shanks just acknowledges that Luffy is the true owner of the hat. That it doesn't need to come
yeah,
back to him.
that it belongs to him
It
now.
belongs
You
to
know.
Luffy now. Because
Now
that's
I
yeah.
will.
If Luffy loses it, what kind of pirates are they? Like the strawless hat?
Well, that's what I so in my two-piece playlist of videos that I made, I made
I
a
can't with the
so,
two piece.
so somebody asked about Nami's hat, right? Her straw hat. And so I turned it into a whole thing. And I just so happened to find enough panels and screenshots from the anime and stuff, and
Yeah.
even color spreads to act like these are all canon screenshots, right? And I talked about how they were the Rubber Boy pirates.
The rubber
And
boy.
and it wasn't until they met Nami on this vacation island that she lived on, and I was like, Luffy loved the hat, but she wouldn't give it to him, and then she finally decided to give it to him, and he loved the hat so much he changed the name of his crew.
We're
So I was
gonna
like, oh,
get
maybe,
we're gonna get so many comments now because you called it the rubber boy because he's not rubber anymore. He is
Yeah.
made out of Toon Force now. I'm gonna get so
Oh,
many
he's
comments.
no, he is still rubber, and that is a common misunderstanding people have. And it's I don't understand. I get why, right?
Hmm.
Because people hear that there's a plot twist with his fruit,
Right.
and so they believe that it was never anything to do with rubber. And one thing that people bring up a lot is they'll say like, um, maybe Luffy is just imagining that he has rubber because he was told by Shanks that he ate the
That
gum
it
gum
was
fruit.
the rubber fruit. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the case. And if you go all the way back to chapter 1, you will see that Luffy stretches, then he reacts because Luffy still has no idea he's eaten a devil fruit. Luffy stretches, he freaks out and says, "What's going on?" Shanks then notices that he stretches, and
And then
then
he points
Shanks
it
and
out.
then he points out, "You've eaten the gum gum fruit. You are now a rubber person, and you've lost your ability to swim." Like, even when the Gorosei talk about it when he awakens into Gear 5, they say, um, the sun god Nika possessing a body with the properties of rubber, awakening this fruit grants greater physical strength and freedom of movement. Right? So like the rubber body is the default. And that's why the government was able to lie about it for so long, is because anybody in the last 800 years who ate this fruit would have just turned rubber.
And they
Because
haven't been able to awaken it.
nobody's awakened it. And so, like, if you eat a fruit and now you stretch like rubber and you can't get shocked by electricity, and you go to the book and you compare those powers and it says you ate a rubber fruit, you're going to be like, yeah, I did. That makes sense to me,
Yeah.
you know? So that's what happened for the last 800 years is nobody awakened it, nobody knew. But it was always rubber. And Nika himself also has a body of rubber. And that's where the connection with his awakening comes in. Excuse me, is he
Right.
goes from the properties of rubber to the properties of rubber hose animation. It's a metaphorical link, right?
Mm.
So and I like that's why I keep referring to it in my Gear 5 videos is he went from a goofy anime character to a cartoon character. That and his power set is that of Tom and Jerry. And that's what people need to keep in mind because they
Understood.
get you hear and I get it, power scaling is a huge part of the anime community nowadays. So when you
For some
see
reason.
yeah, I mean I get why people find it fun.
To each their own.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's I
yeah,
can't. I just don't.
it's interesting. I have a few power scalers, Timid Shade, Mustache Panda. I have a few power scalers that I will watch their videos and I enjoy it every time. I don't understand a word of what they're talking about, but I'm
Me
like, oh,
neither.
cool, that guy's really strong. That's sick.
Especially when they get into the pixel calculation stuff and they're like
Oh yeah, yeah,
all the
yeah.
titles like
And
the
I've done that before as a joke.
MFPL plus outer versal, and as soon as they get to that, I just can't watch anymore because I don't
Yeah, I
understand.
mean, to me, I do wish that there was more of a focus on the characters in narrative, in their story. Like the second that you say like bloodlusted, my eyes gloss over. I'm not interested
Same.
anymore. Like because now what you're doing is you're not actually comparing characters, you're comparing stat sheets, and it's boring.
That's the
It
thing.
is it's much more interesting if you were to be like, okay, so Luffy fights this guy, what happens? And then you're like, well, what if it's a death match? Luffy doesn't kill his opponents. That's a way more interesting
That's
conversation
the same
than
way
who
that I,
punches harder.
whenever somebody asks me to do a cross anime battle, if I find it to be interesting enough, I will make a video about it. For the most part, I don't touch them. But when somebody does ask me, that's how I treat it. And then I get
Yeah.
people in the comments like, oh, Luffy is faster, so he speed blitzes. But, and then
As though Luffy does that to his opponents or
my
something.
question is like, when has Luffy ever done that? Oh, that's not how you do cross anime battles, and that's why I don't do them because I just
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't like how you do it
I
then.
don't like how you do it. Like you're turning this character into something that they would never do. Like Luffy would never speed blitz someone. Oh, Naruto would just speed blitz Rasengan to the face and then you're dead. Like Naruto would
Yeah.
never do that. He will
I
probably
no,
get 20,000 clones before he ever brings out his Rasengan.
you know what's funny too, and it's somebody made a fan animation of Luffy versus Naruto, and it was them in their most powerful forms. So you have Naruto, he goes Baryon mode, and he pulls out the Rasengan, right? And he like tries to hit Luffy with it, and Luffy grabs it like it's a basketball, like he did with the lightning,
Right.
and he just starts dribbling it around and then throws it back. And I'm like, that's not going to be the end of the fight,
But it
but that
might
is
actually happen.
100% that could happen. Like we've seen him grab plasma and turn it into a solid object and then throw it. Like so it remained a solid object after he threw it. So he could do that. He could grab a Rasengan and just dunk on somebody. And that's way more fun to talk about
Way more
than
entertaining.
how much damage would it do. That's way more fun to talk about. And like that's how like if you think about it, like the way that we used to like the us old taku as we're being referred to nowadays.
Seriously,
The,
I've never heard of that term, and I'm not happy you just mentioned it to me.
yeah, I mean, I'm all about it. I've accepted that I'm unk.
Old taco.
I'm old head. I'm old taku now. I get it, man. And my back hurts enough. I'll take the title.
True.
But but no, like it used to be basically like you and your friends playing a D&D campaign with no dice rolls. You would just be like, okay, so this character does this, but then what is like this is their fighting style. So what does this guy have to match up? Oh, but if he did this, how does this character respond? And it was literally that. It was just
Right.
us making hypothetical fights. It wasn't a math equation. And that's where it became boring for me. And I saw somebody like having a conversation about why they think that a lot of anime discussions have devolved into just this like numbers versus numbers power scaling. And somebody brought up, I don't remember who, and I wish I could because it was a great point. But they said with the popularity, the mainstream popularity that anime has nowadays, a lot of sports fans getting into anime, and a lot of fantasy
I
football
can see
fans.
that.
You know what I mean? And when you look at the way that that people nowadays talk about anime, it's the same as the way they talk about sports.
I can see
Which
that.
like and I do want to clarify, if that's how you enjoy anime, as long as you're not being toxic, like the people that are just like, oh, that verse is weak, therefore the show sucks. No, you're garbage. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But like, if you like, that's why I say like, if you like it, I love it, right? If you want to do power scaling like that, that's totally fine. And it kind of does put it into perspective for me, make it a little bit more understandable as to why they do that. If I think of it as, oh, these are sports fans looking in, or these are sports fans getting into the fandom, I understand that that would be their approach.
Right.
And that's why I kind of lightened up on it. Like I used to just be like, don't bring power scaling to my page. But now I'm just like, it doesn't matter as long as you're not toxic. But that does make so much sense though, that that's how they think about it. Because like when you get into sports, right?
You're talking
You
about
pick a
stats.
team, you pick a team, that's your team. You talk about their stats, their record, who's the best of all time, right? And swap out their stats for their stamina, their health, their speed. Swap out the team
And then make them
for a
bloodlusted.
show. And then make it bloodlusted. Who is the best of all time?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, you take him in his prime and you put him in this game, he's dominating the field. And that's how people talk about anime. They're like, yo, take this dude at his best, his highest transformation, like his highest power level, put him in this verse, he solos, he wipes. Like it's just sports talk.
Here's the thing. Now that you mentioned Naruto, I got this fan that, or not fan, a follower. I hate it when people call fans the people that follow you. I don't know why. It's I've
I don't have the balls to use that term, but I do have people that say I'm a big fan of yours. But those people specifically. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Come here, Pito Pito. Hey, no. How about you take Woody? I don't need Woody right now. Bye, Pito Pito.
He's like, sharing is caring, Dad.
It's just I just recently put lights on the all up on the like near the roof area, and then
Yeah,
he
yeah.
comes in, he starts touching it and playing with them. But
Oh yeah.
what I was getting at, I have this follower that sent me this question of a scenario. How would Naruto do if he were to be a pirate in the One Piece world? And I've been thinking about this because they asked me to make a whole series about it. And I've been thinking about it, but because there's conditions and everything here. Let
Yeah.
me read this to you. So, how would Naruto handle being a pirate in the One Piece world? His devil for being the mythical Zoan Nine Tails. So not necessarily Yamato's, but like having the Nine Tails because he already has the Nine Tails.
Yeah. I mean, Katarina Devon has that
Yeah,
fruit.
she has the actual
Yeah.
Nine Tails, but I forgot that. But her ability is different. I'm not gonna mention it because that's gonna be a spoiler. But so he has the mythical Zoan Nine Tails with 4 forms. 3 tails is the bone mod for defense. 7 tails is for flight. 8 tails for power, and then the 9 tails will be the awakening. However, he's able to use shadow clones and Rasengan. He just doesn't get hockey until after the Paramount War. If you think that he makes it over there, how far do you think Naruto would make it?
So
I have an idea already, but I want to hear your side first.
So this is my biggest thing. When we're putting Naruto into the One Piece world, is Naruto like so? Luffy started his journey at 17.
Uh-huh.
That's around the age that Naruto is at the end of Shippuden. So how old is Naruto when he starts? Like, does he start as a kid, like the Usopp pirates?
Let's make him.
You know what I mean? Like,
Let's make him at the same age as Luffy started, 17.
well, so do we say that he's 17, but he has the strength that he had at the beginning of the series? Like, what do we do? Because like Or do we just say like do we say that he
Let's
just
say
like
let's say Shippuden Naruto.
okay, so
He starts he starts at
Shippuden
beginning of Shippuden
Naruto,
Naruto.
yeah, Shippuden Naruto, I would say without being a power scaler is he's making it to Marineford for sure.
I
But
personally I think he stops at Skypiea. And
mm,
the reason
uh,
that I think that is because NL, in my opinion, the only reason Luffy was able to win is because rubber literally has no effects. Electricity has no effect on rubber.
now this is an interesting one. Okay, so
Naruto not having the ability to, or not having the properties of rubber, he would still be affected by NL's electricity. Because
true.
when you can argue Crocodile, Naruto can still think of the whole using water to do the like normal counter to sand, but to
Yeah.
electricity he can't really do that. Now at that point, Oda
Uh,
hadn't thought of hockey, so
yeah.
I'm assuming that Naruto could still damage an L, but he just can't counter electricity. Now the point is, how much can he take? Because Sanji was able to take a whole lightning ball attack,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I would say like Naruto is going to have insane durability. He's going to have really good regen because of as long as he still has Kurama. But my thing is, if we're talking about like matchups that wouldn't work, so I think that so I would say just to make it fair, we'd have to say that like he can get past Logias as long as he's strong enough because of the fact that like if he can't get past NL, what's getting him past Smoker and Logtown?
fair.
He can't hit
But
smoke. You
here's the thing.
know
Here's
what
the
I
thing.
mean?
Luffy didn't get past Smoker. Dragon saved him.
Yeah, but he's not Luffy. He doesn't have Dragon there to help him.
That's true. That's true.
And what's his dad gonna do?
That's not fair, man. That's a cheap shot to
So
Naruto.
I mean,
That's,
okay, yeah. So
what's
if
his
we're
dad
if we're
gonna
a
do? He doesn't have one.
I would have to. So here's the thing: if he has the Rasengan, I'm gonna say he can hit Logias with it. Just because otherwise I don't think it's fair. Because the
True.
thing is, like each story is gonna be set up for the person that is supposed to be the main character.
Fair
So they're
enough.
gonna have little things that they're not gonna like if you put Luffy in Bleach, he can't see souls. You know, you know what I mean?
True.
Like, so like if honestly, Luffy in Bleach would be a lot like Chad in the beginning of Bleach, where he's being told where the opponent is and he hits them. Because I think Hockey
Just
could
throw a punch to
interact.
the left, bro. If you hit it, you hit it.
Yeah, they're like just do it like do a Gum Gum Gatling in this direction, right? But like I think if he was using Hockey, he could hit him. Without Hockey, he couldn't, right? Because he's just a regular dude otherwise.
Right.
Because like Hockey is like it's your willpower, right? So like that's the equivalent of your chakra. That's the equivalent. It's like their energy. So like I think Rasengan Naruto can hit a Logia. That doesn't necessarily mean he can defeat them because if they're just strong in and of themselves, then and they're not just basically abusing their fruit, then like they could still take a hit.
Right.
Somebody like a Kainu is obviously a different matchup than Smoker. You know what I
Right.
mean? But yeah, so I mean,
But you still think he'd make it to Paramount War?
I think he'd make it there. I think he'd make it there. I think like realistically, I see Luffy and Naruto as very very much even. Kind of in the way that like
Same.
Zoro and Sanji are even, but their stats are distributed differently.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like Zoro, like was it who was it that made the comparison? I can't remember, but they're basically saying like think of it like Pokemon stats, right?
Hmm.
So like Zoro, it was Zoro. Like if Zoro maxed out his physical attack, Sanji would be like special attack, right? So that like as an example, so they have the same stat total. I think it might have been Brody.
I
They
like
have the
that.
same stat total, but they have their stats like they have them spread out differently. I see Naruto and Luffy as the same way. So I think that Naruto, as long as he makes the same alliances, as long as he makes the same friends and everything, and has the same amount of help, I think he can do it. I don't honestly though.
See, that was a caveat to the whole idea of it. Thing they also were like, you can make him have his own crew. You can have him have the same crew that Luffy built. You can have him pick a crew from characters of Naruto and characters of One Piece. And like at that point, I'm just writing a whole new story. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
there,
I would say make everything the same because
yeah,
like I could
same.
see Naruto befriending each of the Straw Hats. Like I think Naruto and Luffy would be best friends. They're
The
very
Naruto
similar.
beef.
Yeah, yeah. So I could see him basically gathering that crew, like the same crew. I could
So
see
do
it
I.
working out.
Yeah, I can see it being the same. That's why I never changed it. But
Oh, I just thought of this.
was
Are
up?
you recording right now?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. Because I was like, oh wait, I'm not on my phone. I'm not screen recording.
yeah. I've been recording.
Okay, we'll just cut that little segment out.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah. So now that I'm thinking of it, so I'm thinking like strength wise, he's making it to Marineford. But how does he get out of Impel Down? Does he like? How does he like? Because I don't think there's many people in the series, period, who could get out of that poisoning. Like Magellan is incredibly underrated in terms of his strength. He
very.
is insanely powerful, and like just because of his devil fruit,
And for him to
like
just get written out like that, it was just criminal.
yeah, he got demoted, dude. Hannibal took over. So he is now assistant to him. But like so let's say he has the same situation with Luffy where like he gets to Ivankov, they put him through the 20 hours or whatever, this intense regeneration. I think I could see him making it out. Like it's a plot armor situation
Yeah.
regardless. But I mean he's got really good regen, you know what I mean?
Mm.
If needed, the Fox could take over to like, you know what I mean? Like something could leak out. Well, or does he have Kurama in this?
That
Or
was
is this a
that
because this
wasn't.
is a Nine Tails Devil
I
Fruit with
don't think. I
transformation.
don't think he has the nine tails. It's like Kurama itself. I just think he has a nine tails transformation. That's why I was like three tails would be the bone modification for defense. So I
Yeah.
guess I guess like he can sprout out bones that to cover him, and then
Yeah.
that might be a way that he can counter
I would see
Magellan.
that as more of an armor.
True.
So like if you can get in between the bones, you can still hit him, but he's got he can like he can kind of block you, and it's almost like he's got like armor on his arms or armor on his chest.
Yeah.
But I mean if he has a mythical Zoan, that does come with increased regeneration. So like mythical Zoans and ancient Zoans have really really good regen.
So
They can get knocked out, come back and
increased
be
regeneration
ready to go.
plus Ivankov, I think he's making it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be frank, I mean, we can have fun and have a 3 hour conversation going through every single battle and
Oh,
seeing how Naruto makes
I
it out.
know.
But I think Naruto makes it wherever Luffy makes it. And like that's gonna be my like blanket statement. And if somebody watches this and they're like, or listens to this and they're like, oh no, how does he get through? How does he get past that? We can save those for a later episode and go through those individual ones and have our little like, okay, but what now? And then what does he do? And what does he do? We can go through those.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
whatever
like,
scenarios you guys got, let us know in the comments, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, our own personal TikToks. Just let us know. We'll address it next time.
yeah. All right, do you have another question then?
I had one more thing that I wanted to ask you because
Oh yeah, go
we're
ahead.
already at 32 minutes, so we've done pretty good on this episode so far. And
Yeah.
we've stayed talking on pretty interesting topics, but I also wanted, I don't know if you just saw one of the comments that when I think it was on like the first TikTok of the episode, did my screen just freeze? Would be like half eye open, half closed.
It did, yeah.
That's too funny. But I had this question, or not question. I just want to mention something before the question. Somebody, because I've been making so much slime content recently, somebody put in the comment section of one of the videos that that time I got reincarnated as One Piece, and I just thought that was funny as hell, merging the whole One Piece and slime. But my camera, I guess, just left. I'll see if I can fix that while I ask you this
Okay.
question. But do you have any Boruto theories? Because I saw you been making some videos after you read the Boruto chapters, and you've been talking good about it. So I'm interested.
Yeah, I again cannot stand the Boruto anime. I
Oh no
dislike it
no,
with
we're talking
with a
manga.
passion.
We're
But the
talking manga
manga,
strictly.
the manga is fantastic. The manga is fantastic, and I'll die on that hill. Um, People like to say the anime is trash and the manga is meh. No, you guys don't have enough love in your hearts for Naruto, or for Boruto. Like, come on, man, it's not that bad. But anyways, I I like to think that this story is going to take them to space. And I don't remember if it was you or one of my other mutuals that was talking about it, that maybe they would even invade the Otsutsuki planet. But I love
Yeah,
that
it was
theory.
me.
And the reason is because I think you even mentioned that if it was your video, and I think you even mentioned that like about Kawaki wanting to wipe out the Otsutsuki. Like that doesn't stop with just the few that are on Earth. Like they're gonna have to do something, you know. especially if with what's going on with Boruto, if he ends up gaining some power in this fight with Code, like because they're going to be fighting the Ten Tails location. So I don't know what's going to go on with that. We also don't know what's going on with Boruto's like power set right now. Like we've seen, I cannot remember the name of it, but his new Rasengan that like,
Usuhiko.
can, yeah, that takes advantage of the planet's rotation and all that stuff. Like they're getting into like planetary discussions. We're talking about space
Yeah.
aliens. Code does not in any way feel to me like a major villain. He feels like a stepping stone. So I could see something happening with that.
I got something to add to that. I don't think Code is a villain. I think Code is kind of what Kawaki is. He is more of an antagonist at this point that Boruto and Kawaki are going to team up with to go against the actual like Otsutsuki planet. Because it was my
Okay.
theory that like because Kishimoto already used Samurai 8 to basically test out the waters with intergalactic like space
Yeah.
travel and all that, that he's
One
gonna
second.
incorporate that.
1 second. Samurai 8, by the way, please give it a shot. Nobody ever talks about it. It's
Honestly,
not it's not Kishimoto's like magnum opus. It's 5 volumes long. So if you're a manga collector, it's a really easy collection to finish. It does feel a little bit rushed in the end, but if you want to see how willing Kishimoto is to just make a character powerful for the sake of it, it's a pretty fun story. It's very heavy in the beginning. He's trying to like let you know everything about the world in the beginning, so it can be a little bit dense to get into. But once you get past that, it's fun. It's
yeah,
really fun.
it's very heavy world building at the beginning, and then it goes a little bit more into the story. Like he explained a lot towards the
Yeah.
first couple chapters, which is probably why people dropped it so much because it just
Also, great representation for a disabled MC.
right.
Yeah.
Hashimaru solos your verse.
And like that's not a joke. If
It's
your
not a
stats
joke.
are anything less than infinite, you can't compare him to this guy.
Dude was broken. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had this theory that because Kishimoto already tested the waters with Samurai 8, that he's going to incorporate that into Boruto. And everyone keeps saying that Code is nothing, that Code is irrelevant, Code this, Code that. I genuinely think that Code is going to team up with Kawaki and Boruto, and later on there's going to be a fallout, and we're gonna see a little bit more of Code's abilities and all.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think that Code is just a stepping stone, like everyone is saying, and then
Yeah.
eventually they're going to do something and just go all out. Because again, like I said in my theory video, none of the side characters can match up to Kawaki and Boruto right now with them being full blown Otsutsuki.
Yeah.
Like you can argue for Sarah because she has the Sharingan and she's a descendant of Kaguya and all that, but it just the rest of the side cast doesn't add up. So
Yeah.
so someone that can kind of go toe to toe with them, which would be the only one would be Code at this point, would have to join them in this.
See, the only thing holding me back from it because I really, really want it to happen. I want them to go. Well, the one issue is how do they get to space? I mean, they could like teleport
Yeah,
from planet to planet.
the dimensional travel.
But and like One Piece has spoiled me. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so what kind of atmosphere does the planet have? Can they breathe there? Like, I'm starting to think about all that stuff. But the only thing that's holding me back from it is the flash forward that we get at the beginning of the series, where it is still very much an Earth-centric story.
That too.
The ninjas are all gone, and Kawaki is trying to take Boruto out as like the last of them. Oh, by the way, do you think that like Kawaki, because he is an Otsutsuki, do you think he would then like commit seppuku or something at the end? Like, what do you like? My job is done here, type thing.
I think so.
Like, or do you think that he is? Do you think that he just like wouldn't go through with it? You think he'd be like, all right, I'm the last one. I'm allowed.
I think he would. Just
He does seem dedicated.
I think he would, yeah. Kawaki's definitely dedicated to go through with it, and I think it would specifically just because of the whole idea that any Otsutsuki would be some sort of threat to Naruto, and his biggest thing is taking care of Naruto. I think if he does, and like at the end ends up getting rid of everyone, that he would do that to himself too, just so like no one can do anything. Like, because if someone were to become powerful enough for some reason, just like Amado got his own research done to basically create cyborg that were stronger than Ishiki, like
Yeah.
Kun was supposed to be, someone else could potentially do something like that and then get a hold of Kawaki and feed him to another Ten Tails to create a new chakra fruit and then
Yeah.
just start the process all over again. So I do think that in the end, just to avoid any of that happening, that Kawaki would sacrifice himself for Naruto.
Do you think? Do you? So I know like and I keep seeing people say it. I don't see it in the manga, but people keep saying that Sasuke is dead. I don't see it.
I say that.
If you look at the beginning, doesn't he say? I would have to go back and read. Doesn't he say like I'll send you where I sent Sasuke or something like
No,
that?
he says I'll send you where I sent the seventh Hokage.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah. So
he's talking about Naruto, which is the separate dimension that Kawaki
yeah.
has Naruto sealed in. But I am one of the ones since day one of the time skip coming out. I have been saying that Sasuke is dead.
But what would have killed him?
Code, maybe. I mean, Sasuke
I,
couldn't
I
measure up to Code.
with the way that Boruto came back, like, and I mean, it is. I will say, it is suspicious that he's wearing Sasuke's jacket and carrying a sword that looks suspiciously like Sasuke's.
Like Kusanagi, yeah.
But it,
I mean, he
but
was
that
obsessed
could
with
have,
Sasuke from the beginning, so that doesn't
yeah.
really bother me much.
It could have been. Well, I'm not saying it bothers me. Like I think it's a bad design. I'm saying it
Yeah.
does sit in the back of my head of like, okay, what is Sasuke wearing? What is Sasuke carrying? If Boruto has this, you know.
Another
But
set of
like,
belts, because everyone got like three belts in this new design.
bro, everyone in Boruto right now is dressing like me in middle school with all these belts, bro.
Hey, you already got the jacket. You just need like three belts, and you'll have that Boruto design.
Dude, you had to have multiple belts. I was in like the emo scene kind of culture back then.
Same.
You had to have one belt to hold your pants up, one belt for fashion.
Man, I will show my picture on this after I edit it. I will show my picture. You'll see me like I had a whole like side, not sideburns, but like my hair over here was down to the side, and then I had like one eye covered. I was full on emo when I was in middle school.
Me too, dude. Every time I show my like senior picture, because I had like the perfect like cut over here, like the fringe bang, you know.
The problem was that because I have curly hair, my hair wouldn't stay here, so I would have to gel it. Like I would put a lot of gel so that it would stick there. And then my hair was like immobile on this side of my face.
See, I used a hair straightener and a lot of hairs because like you see my hair texture. This is not emo hair texture. No. So every single day I would get up, and keep in mind I hate the mornings. I've never been an early riser, right? I've always been a night owl. So every single day I would either wake up early for school despite my body telling me I didn't want to and straighten my hair, or I would straighten it the night before and have like the least restful sleep because I was, you know, the emo subculture was very vain.
Yeah.
So I would like sleep in a way like I'd stack things to my side so I couldn't roll. I'm like, I'm not messing up this hair. And then I'd get up in the morning, I'd tease it, hairspray, the whole nine, right? And it was funny because like a lot of us, like our dads would have something to say about it, right? But my dad was like, listen, bro. He's like, me in the 80s was basically just a less developed version of this style right now. You know? He's like, I got nothing to say. He was like, the skinny jeans, I wore them. He's like, heck, back in my day, he's like, this is more manly than how we dress because we wore crop tops.
Yeah. I dealt with it too, but the only difference is it was my dad wasn't in the country. I was in Cuba, and my dad was here in the United States when all this happened.
Yeah.
So, but even though my dad complained about it, I didn't have to do a thing because he wasn't there until 1 week.
What are you gonna do, Dad?
Yeah. Until 1 week he visited, and then he just cut all my hair off.
Oh.
And that was horrible. But going back to. Yeah, I definitely think that Sasuke is done because I've said it before when I've made videos about this. He is not part of the story anymore. This is Boruto's story. They have moved on from the old generation.
I get it.
I'm glad that Naruto is sealed away and we don't get to see a thing anymore. And Sasuke, I hope that he's dead because he already served his purpose. He trained Boruto. He set him on the right path. He lost the Rinnegan already, so he cannot travel dimensional anymore.
Yeah.
And right now, as we saw, catching Koji is with Boruto. So I think that Sasuke served his purpose to the story. And everyone is mad like, oh, you cannot off-screen a character that important. Yeah, you can. Just like
if it's their time, it's their time.
Like I know for sure something is gonna come up if he is dead. Kishimoto's gonna write something that we're gonna get a couple chapters of seeing what happened to Sasuke. It's not like we're never gonna see anything again.
Yeah, it's off screen for now.
For now, yeah, but I do think that he's done.
See but like what I was saying before is like, you know, like Sasuke is the one who trained Boruto, and Boruto comes back from the time skip, just manhandling Code. Like he is not a problem for Boruto. So like the issue for me is like. how does the trainee of Sasuke mollywop somebody who was able to kill Sasuke? You know what I mean? Like if it was code, that's where I'm like, I don't know.
But
You know?
that's because Sasuke doesn't have any karma in him. And the karma is basically like thousands of years worth of experience all built
Mm.
into one person.
I'm just in denial, dude. Like I don't want it to happen because Sasuke and Vegeta are like my two
The
favorite
OGs.
deuteragonists, and Sasuke has finally gotten the character development that Vegeta got.
Man,
Like dude, I can't even tell you how hyped I was when Sasuke shows up with his memories modified. Oh, spoilers for Boruto, by the way.
I mean,
but
Boruto comes out once a month. It's been what? Today is the November 1st. It's been like 10 days since the chapter
Yeah,
came out.
and this is pre-time skip that I'm talking about. But like the fact that Sasuke, like knowing who he is as a character, he's been so distant. You know, like he sends his wife letters through like via Eagle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that he, with his memories modified, thinking that Boruto killed his best friend, and thinking that Boruto is a stranger to the village, no reason at all for Sasuke to go along with this. He says, "My daughter trusts you, and that is enough for me to like stake my life on." That's Sasuke, dude. That's character development for Sasuke. And so to have that and then just be like, by the way, he's dead.
That's yeah.
I
I can
It
see why
doesn't
you're in
sit right
denial.
with me.
I can
It
see why
doesn't.
you're in denial.
Yeah, I refuse to accept it. As far as I'm concerned, the death of Sasuke is non-canon,
Has
bro. That's light novel content, and Kishimoto didn't even write the light novel.
it's
Like,
oh man, that's
yeah,
funny.
it's data book
It's
information for
data
me.
book information, and it's not canon. Kishimoto
Yeah,
drew it, but it wasn't written by him.
Kishimoto wasn't able to catch it before they published it. It was a joke. It was just a meme. They were just having
It's
fun in
not
the
a canon
office.
event. It's not a canon
Yeah,
event.
yeah, bro.
Oh,
No, I mean I'm fine with it as long as they handle it because like the thing is like I go back and forth between being a critic and a fanboy and like I will like I've gotten to the point where like anything that happens in a story that I'm enjoying I hold reservations because like I've been reading these stories like I've been reading Kishimoto's work since 2004, right? I mean, Oda, not nearly as long. Oda, it's, you know,
right.
right. I started One Piece like right before my son was born. So like about 3 years ago. But I've grown to appreciate the talent that these men have as storytellers. And so like, I just know, like, even if something seems weird at the moment, they have a reason for it. Like with One Piece, right? Everybody was losing their mind at how disappointed they were with Kaido's backstory and I was just like, bro, that's not the end of his backstory. Look at how Oda writes. You know, like I'm like, clearly Kaido's backstory is very, very closely tied to the Rocks pirates, to Rocks D Zebek, to God Valley, to all these. I was like, there's no way that he could reveal all of Kaido's backstory now. You know, because we don't have time for God Valley in
That
the
was
middle of this
barely
fight.
it.
You
Yeah,
know,
we haven't seen anything about God Valley.
yeah. So like that's the perspective that I have on a lot of this stuff. So it's like if it does come out that Sasuke is dead, I'm gonna be upset about it. I'm gonna be mourning my boy.
Denial
But I'm gonna trust that Kishimoto has
is
something
gonna
planned.
do
He's
him
gonna
right.
yeah, he's gonna do him right. He's not gonna just like legit off screen one of his most popular characters. If not like his most popular character. Because I mean, and I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, like early 2000s, it was not cool to be a fan of the main character because the main character, at least in like my area, and like what little access I had to the online anime community, but like the idea was like the main characters. If you ever notice, like the main characters kind of have like a gimmick. That's their gimmick.
Yeah,
They are, you know, and then but every like they have like Naruto has his shadow clones and Rasengan. That's like his thing, his bread and butter. And like more like there's always like the edgy emo guy, right? And that was Sasuke. In the beginning of One Piece, you could kind of see that as Zoro. Um, that was Vegeta in Dragon Ball. Like everybody had like the edgy guy, the guy with a temper. There's the girl, which is like an unfortunate trope. It was just
right.
the girl,
The
right?
girl
But they're
there.
usually very physically powerful, or at least they have like, or they're like really intelligent, like somebody like Bulma, right? Or like with Sakura, she was really powerful. With Nami, she's really intelligent, right? But they always like each of the different characters kind of had its own archetype that was like more interesting or seen as more interesting than the main character because the main characters, while they were fully fleshed out, they also had this aspect of like, you know, uh, like kind of flat character arc so that
Right.
you could see yourself as them, right? So like it's kind of like non-voiced main characters in a video game. You know what I mean? Like they have their own lore, they have everything, like going on for them. But the idea is that you inject yourself into that. And so that
Right.
was like the mindset back then. And it was like you don't fanboy over the main character, you fanboy over the deuteragonists usually. So that was like for me, I was like, I mean, I always liked them anyway. Like I don't get me wrong, huge Naruto, huge Goku, huge Luffy fan. But even back then, I was like, yeah, man, Sasuke's kind of where it's at, though. Like I'm
Yeah.
not, Vegeta's kind of where
I've
it's
said it.
at. You
I've
know what
said
I
it
mean?
before, man. I am the biggest Sasuke fan there is, and I will defend him against anybody. I
Yeah.
would defend Sasuke every day. But
Dude, I have Sasuke's curse mark tattooed on me. Granted, I also have Naruto's seal tattooed on me.
I almost got the Sasuke curse mark tattooed, but instead I'm gonna get an Itachi tattoo next.
Yeah.
But
You were saying about that you're saying on your leg?
yeah, because I got I was basically supposed to get the Naruto tattoo here, but Kaneki, like Kaneki is my favorite anime character.
Yeah.
So I had to get that, and then on this part I'm gonna get the Hunter x Hunter spider from the Phantom Troop, and then on the other side I'm gonna get the Itachi tattoo.
Oh yeah, on your other arm.
But I gotta get Gaara's like lettering somewhere done. I'm not gonna get it on my face, but I gotta
Dude,
get, 'cause
I
Gaara's my
know
favorite character.
I know somebody who got it on their forehead.
No.
And I was like, bro, you could have bought a beanie. Like you could have got a headband. You know what I mean?
You could have
There's
bought a
no need for.
beanie. You do
Yeah.
not have to tattoo your forehead, bro.
What, dude, the wildest thing too is after they got that tattoo is when I started seeing ads for beanies with the heart thing like right here.
Nice.
And I was like hindsight's 2020, brother.
It's listening. They're listening to you, man.
Yeah, back in the day though, it like my favorite characters in Naruto, my top 5 were Naruto, Kakashi, Sasuke, Gaara, and Shikamaru. I've always loved Shikamaru, but Gaara I was really into. Like I have a bunch of pictures. I would have to dig them out, so I'm not going to get them now. But I have a bunch of pictures that I drew in like middle school and high school. And like out of all the Naruto pictures, like 50% of them are Gaara and 50% of them are other characters. I loved him. I wrote a poem about him. I used to write poetry all the time. And I wrote a poem about Gaara that my buddy read and liked it so much. He had like a garage like metal band. And he was like, "Dude, I gotta sing this. This is beautiful. This is deep. This is deep, So So I'm a songwriter, just so you guys know. But like I was into it. I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, I'm all about it. I was like writing fan fictions about him and all this stuff. I loved Gaara back in the day. But Sasuke was always like, I was like, I don't want to look like Gaara. I want to look like Sasuke.
I was a lot more basic than you. Like my top 5 were Kakashi, Sasuke, Itachi, Gaara, and then the one outlier that I had was Kimimaro. I've always been a huge
I could see that.
of Kimimaro.
He was cool.
He
was underutilized.
I wish they had given him more time, but bro had
Yeah.
tubercular chakra, like I like to call it, just coughing up blood everywhere.
Dude, why is it that like all the like cool, unique, like you're never gonna see this power again characters in anime are always like
Sick
introduced
with something
sick? Yeah. I mean, even Itachi ended up getting this sickness.
the entire time. That like
Yeah.
every single time that we saw Itachi outside of like his introduction, like his first episode, every time
Yeah.
he was always coughing up something.
Yeah. And I gotta say this. I don't like the redemption of Itachi. I don't like
Seriously?
it. I think it was ham-fisted into the series. It was very clearly not planned, and it didn't have enough setup, and it doesn't make sense. Like the idea that the loving brother that like cared about Sasuke decided to ruin Sasuke's life, mentally scar him, and then beat the snot out of him every chance he got to quote unquote make him stronger. What are you talking about? This is
I
the
can
guy
see
with
that.
the like and the idea and like the fact that he like the fact that they tried to make him sympathetic and they were like, oh well, he didn't have a choice, like he had he had the choice between like a bad option and a worse option, and it's like not really. And like people are like, oh well, he was just a kid. Yeah, not really just a kid. They said when he was like what 7 years old he could think like a Hokage.
Yeah.
He was incredibly powerful enough to wipe out the Uchiha clan,
Right.
granted with the help of Obito. But like he was powerful enough to do all this stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like he could have done something. He could have killed Danzo. He could have done something.
Here's my
Like,
thing.
but I like him as a villain. I
here's
think
the
he was
reason-
written well as a villain.
I can see what you're talking about. Here's my, or maybe I'm the one that's in denial now, and I'm trying to justify it. But Itachi was under the impression that because of the Uchiha clan, they're the ones that basically have like the deepest feelings and all. That he
Yeah,
needed that the more hatred Sasuke had toward him would make Sasuke stronger,
I
so
get
so
that.
that then Sasuke would be able to take Itachi's eyes. Because at the end of the day, Itachi was sick. He was going to sacrifice himself for Sasuke,
Yeah,
but because of the whole way that the that Black Zetsu had made the Uchiha clan to be believed, because he changed like the stone tablet and the
yeah.
history of the Uchiha and all that. Because of all that, Itachi was under the false pretense that he needed to do this for Sasuke to be able to reach a level to become strong enough. Now I understand that he went about like the execution of the plan
In
was
like
just
the worst possible
horrible.
way. Dude, he chose a specific number. How many times did he make Sasuke watch their
Oh,
parents'
it,
death?
it was like
It was like
thousands of
it
times.
was like 585,321.
It was
He
thousands of
he hit
times.
he hit 585,320. Was like one more
Yeah,
time.
just one more, just to
One
make
more.
sure that it worked.
See,
No,
I think what would have been far better is Itachi was completely on board with the plan. Itachi simply could not bring himself to kill his brother. And then later in life, he sees the fallout of it. He has regrets, especially as he's reaching the end of the life, because that's the perfect time for somebody to have a change in motivation. I think he should have had a redemption, not a retroactive hero motive.
fair,
You know what I
fair.
mean? I think that would have been far. And like, don't get me wrong, love Itachi. I literally have a poster of him in the other room. Love Itachi, but I don't think his twist was right for the story. Like if he would have at the end of his like if they would have just kept everything exactly the same, but during the fight with Sasuke have hints of him like taking it easy on Sasuke, something like that, and then at the end of the fight, he like Sasuke doesn't understand why Itachi does the thing, right? He's like,
Yeah, like
like he's like maybe even have Sasuke angry, right? And be like, how dare you try to act like we're still brothers, like that kind of thing. And then have another character, have Obito explain, like, yeah, he wasn't really for the cause at the end of his life, or like he regretted leaving you, or
I
something
can
like
see,
that.
I can see
And
that.
but like have it so that Itachi did care about Sasuke, but had more passion for his job than he did for anything else, and then later regret that. Like do something like that. The idea that he was good the whole time is the thing that just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, and it's not. I don't know, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
And I know people are gonna get upset about that because people like Itachi, and I think that one thing that I found with the Naruto fandom too is when I try to have these conversations, a lot of people will use stuff that came later to try and explain that
Right.
stuff to justify it. And I'm like, yes, but I'm talking about this as a fan who saw it as it aired, who read it as that chapter came out, and it didn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Like
Like, like
you watched it all now, but I saw it and I had to wait weeks
yeah,
to
and
be
I
able to
think
see this.
I think a big part of it is that it has been so long since Naruto ended that at this point people don't think of it anymore that way. They think of it with the explanations that we got, and some people I've found convince themselves that it was foreshadowed better, that it was integrated perfectly. Or they'll try and like with Kaguya is a great example of this, and where they'll be like, oh well, Kaguya was foreshadowed, and I'm like, yeah, like right before her introduction, and they'll
Yeah,
be like, no, 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 look at the Kaguya clan,
that had nothing to do with it.
and yeah, and
Like
I'm like,
maybe it was used as an inspiration, like, oh, the Kaguya clan, let's use the Kaguya name. But like the only reason that I don't agree with that is because the Kaguya clan was used for this one specific thing, but the
yeah,
story itself of Kaguya actually comes from Japanese folklore of the Moon Princess, which
yeah.
is the whole story of Kaguya like coming from the moon or being sealed in the moon and all that. But the Kaguya clan had nothing to do with her.
Well, yeah, the only connection is a name and them retroactively connecting it to Kaguya. But like that's what I mean by like
And the
it's sometimes
hairstyle. I'll give him that. The hairstyle was the same one that was used when the whole Kaguya flashback.
yeah, but to be fair, like like many things in Naruto, it was just a reference to the original story, right?
True.
So like of course they're going to call it the Kaguya clan. Kaguya is the name of the character in the original story. Same thing with Susanoo, same thing with Amaterasu, same thing with Izanagi
Tsukiyomi.
and Izanami, right? They're all actually just the names of like Shinto deities, or they're the names of Japanese folklore. Like, so there's you can say, and I guarantee you Kishimoto would say, like with 100% certainty, yeah, I had not thought of introducing Kaguya at that point. You know what I mean? But like, and like, it's not even a dig on the series. Like, I didn't like Kaguya when she was introduced. I still don't like that she's the final villain of Shippuden, but I don't mind her as a character at this point. You know what I mean? And I do, I understand the necessity for Kaguya because they knew that Boruto was coming out, and so they knew the story was going to continue. I get it. I understand that completely. And it's not me criticizing the series and saying it's garbage, just because I'm like, these are the things that I don't like that. Like Itachi's a big hang up for me. Kaguya is a big hang up for me, right? Black Zetsu is a big hang up for me because Black Zetsu was supposed to be Madara's dude, and it turns out he's Kaguya's dude, and he's actually playing Madara like a puppet.
Switching teams all the time.
Yeah, but like, I can say that and still say that Naruto has a permanently reserved like star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like, it is in my top 5 forever. I don't care what comes out. I don't care if Oda makes One Piece 4 more times. Like, Naruto will still be in my top 5. And like, I can still critique the series, and I do critique the series because I love it so much, because I want it to be the best that it can possibly be. And I think we've kind of lost that in our discussions. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I know we're gonna get comments about that Itachi rant.
Hell yeah! We've been going at it for an hour. We've been going at it for an hour, man.
We've really been going.
I think we can call it a day on this episode.
Yeah, let's end it on me saying, or as the comments will hear it, Naruto sucks.
No, take it. Okay.
No, because I've done like longer like live discussions and stuff about it, and the comments are still like, I don't understand why you're hating on Naruto, And I get the same thing too with One Piece. I'll say like, hey, this is an inconsistency in One Piece, and it's like one of the few, right? And somebody would be like, I don't understand why people always hate on this series. I'm like, dude, I'm a One Piece content creator.
Like, literally 90% of my content is One Piece. What do you mean I'm hating it because I critique it one time?
Yeah, but that's just how it is. So I knew while I was saying all that, like, people are gonna have problems with it. And feel free to pick apart my argument. If you can convince me that Itachi, if you think you can convince me that Itachi is perfectly written, I'm all ears. I'm always down to love Itachi even more.
You got a challenge by Saiga, y'all.
Yeah, convince me that Itachi is well written. It's the challenge.
I'll take that challenge on Sasuke any day. On Itachi, I'm gonna need some time.
Yeah. Take your time, write down your bullet points, prepare your lecture. And I'll sit down and listen to the whole thing. I'll read all the comments.
It needs to be typed out in Helvetica 12 point, at least 5 pages worth of paragraphs.
Single spaced.
Single spaced. Damn.
Yeah, 12-point font.
No. To be very specific.
I want it ML formatted.
By 11:59 p.m.
Yeah, it's due tomorrow.
All right.
And I'm saying tomorrow from time of recording, not time of posting.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I'll post it the day after the due date, and now it's not our fault anymore.
Yeah.
Not like everyone's going to do it.
Yeah, we should end this because it did go a little bit later. It's time for me to start cooking dinner.
Yeah, and it's time for me to go check on my son because he has...
Oh, by the way, I made a story recently talking about, it was like a cute moment that I saw in my living room where my wife and my son were dancing to a One Piece outro. And I put the caption as... I caught this moment while I was washing dishes, right? Yeah. And I got a comment that said, "Washing dishes? Aren't you ashamed as a man to admit something like that?"
Wow,
bro. I'm gonna put you on some game, dude. Women find men who do the dishes, pick up after themselves, and cook delicious meals incredibly sexy. Like, you have no idea. My relationship with my wife has only gotten better the more I've developed those skills. Like, if you think that you're going to find this high-value woman and she's going to be cool with you chilling on the couch talking about how alpha you are, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. It's not that time anymore.
And not only that, if you make a dish, clean it, bro. Be an adult. What are you talking about? Be an adult. What are you, 12 years old? Like, come on.
My wife can attest to that.
I'm not ashamed to do the dishes.
We should bring the wives sometime and have them comment on some of this stuff.
We should. We'll pull the typical anime guy thing and quiz them on their anime knowledge.
Yes, and or show them guys that look like women. Like, is this a boy or a girl?
That would actually be a funny one. That would be a funny one. We'll do like, is this a guy or a girl? And then we'll do, how old do you think this character is?
Yes, especially the ones that are like
10,000,
60 years old, but they look like they're 3.
Yeah. Well, Tsunade is a good one to trick somebody with. That is a trick answer because she's like 50 something,
Yeah.
but she uses the medical ninja. Well, and
Yeah.
we'll give them hints. We'll be like, just so you know, this one's gonna be a little bit off. You know,
Yeah.
it's not exactly what you think, but you got to guess older or
Just
younger.
a tiny little bit.